What is your full name?
My name is Megan Blackwell.
Where are you from?
I grew up in Plymouth, and now for the last 20 some years I've been living in Royal Oak, Michigan.
These are some before the event questions.
Okay.
Were you overly worried about the health of the economy?
Before it happened? No, not really. I didn't really think much about it. You know, when I got out of college, I got a job, and everything was pretty good, and so I didn't think about things turning bad.
So this is when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
How did you discover that our nation was facing this situation?
I think the thing that struck me the most, because my job stayed fairly stable, was that gas prices went way up, and gas got over $4 a gallon, and so that's the impact I felt first, because we need, to have gas to get to work and do all the things we need, and it definitely made an impact on our income because we were paying twice as much for gas as we used to, and so the money was coming out of other places.
What were your first feelings after learning about?
I don't remember having a day or a moment when I discovered things weren't good. It was sort of like a slower progression, and I knew that there were people who were struggling, and I had friends who lost jobs, but it was more just kind of looking a little grim. Like, my dad was about to retire, and his stocks decreased by half, and so he ended up not retiring. He decided to work a few more years because he was just nervous about the climate. So there were just a lot of people that were affected. No one that I cared about was affected super drastically. My brother-in-law did lose his job when they downsized his company. So there were some people, but they've kind of found another way to come back. But I did hear some horror stories of some people that lost their homes and things like that.
What economic decisions did you and your family make in response?
Well, I know we didn't really go on vacations for a little while, and had to be a little more careful about how we spent our money, because money was just going to different things like gas, for example. But otherwise, my kids were pretty little, so I wasn't thinking much about college or anything then. But now that they're older and we're getting ready to send our daughter to college, some of the investments we had did take a hit then, so kind of recouping that money, I can see where if things had continued to go the way they were, maybe would have been a little bit better.
What steps did your family take to recover?
I would say we were just more careful about our spending, and we're grateful about our jobs, and just kind of watching our money a little more than we had. We had been a little more free with it, or careless when we didn't have to think about it so much. We refinanced our house at some point. We did some things to try to lower our bills and things when the market started turning back again after things were low.
What did you think of President George W. Bush's and the Congress's reaction to the Great Recession?
Well, I think as a history teacher, it's hard to blame the person in office when things always happen. I can see now where we've discovered some of the practices we were doing as a country with our finances were what led to this. But I don't know what exactly they could do to solve the problem aside from trying to prevent it from happening in the future. So I think steps are still underway to try to prevent that from happening again, but I don't know if once something like that happens, it's easy to just make a change and fix it. So a lot of times it's things that have been, the decade before leading up to it that have caused it. So I wouldn't entirely blame him for what happened or the response to it, because I think it's too complex.
What do you believe is our nation's greatest economic concern?
Oh gosh, I think debt is our big concern, that so many people live in debt, which is what happened in the 20s when the Great Depression took place too. So living beyond our means as Americans, I think most of us tend to do that. So I think sometimes the banks are okay with that because that's how they make their money. So just watching that, and then also the cost of education is very expensive for people.
Do you think that recessions or depressions can be prevented?
I don't know if they can be prevented 100%, but I think there can be steps taken to at least reduce the effects of it with regulations that will help, prevent some of the issues. And just watching, a lot of it is, the amount of debt that people are allowed to take on. So keeping it people more responsible and living within their means.
How has the Great Recession changed our nation?
Well, I think for more recent years, it made people a little more cautious about their spending and appreciate what they have. And I think we are seeing some, bounce back from that. But I think we have short memories and we don't always remember the times that are bad. And so we repeat some of the same mistakes.
What lessons should we learn from the Great Recession?
I think just to try to live within your means as much as you can, which isn't always easy with the cost of things, but that would probably be the best advice I would say that I got from that time.
What do you want students to know about the economic crisis?
I want students to learn about, as much as they can, about how our economy works and how our government works too, so that they understand the process of what that looks like, and also take measures to try to prevent being affected by something like that in the future themselves.
Thank you.
You're welcome.